back, everybody, to another episode of Porch Talk. This is episode 15. This episode is sponsored by Wyatt pole holders. If you have fishing poles that you would like to display safely on the wall or just need a way to get them off the floor, Wyatt pole holders has what you need. So on Etsy, he has a nice selection of fishing racks to fit your needs. Pine, oak, and poplar are just some of the wood used to craft these beautiful racks. Engravings are also available upon request.
You live in Southwest Virginia, Southern West Virginia, or Eastern Kentucky, find yourself looking for an equipment rental, give Cantrell Holdings Equipment Rentals a call at 276-596-3078. They have excavators, backhoes, loaders, and jackhammers available. Cantrell Holdings Equipment Rentals has equipment for any job, big or small. Be sure to give their Facebook page a like and follow to learn more about their equipment rental options, including their operator services.
Guys, we are honored and blessed to have running back from Patrick Henry, Camron Goodspeed, on here with us. Cam is the season school record holder, 43 touchdowns. And me and Jamar was discussing this, Cam, before you came on. I know you have 2,332 rushing yards. I couldn't remember if that was a school record or not, but I'm sure it's probably close.
The school record is 2,900.
Okay, so you're right there, getting there.
Not far off.
Yeah. Oh, the way you're going, you might break it this playoff. So
I hope so. Hope so.
We're going to kind of go through Cam's life, ask him a little bit about how he fell in love with the sport, and then when he was playing Little League, and then we're going to get up into varsity too and talk about his historical career there at Patrick Henry. So Cam, just starting with that, when did you first fall in love with the sport?
Ever since I was a little boy, I always wanted to play football. I used to watch videos on people playing, learning how to get faster, learning how to do different moves. Just as a little boy, I just always wanted to play.
Mar, you want me to? I can keep going. Or you
as far as being little, we asked Coach Tester the same question. Have you always been, a fast kid, or did that come later in when you hit the weights, or what?
Oh yeah, I've always been like one of the fastest kids. Like I remember in elementary school, we used to run races, and I was always the first one.
So you mentioned elementary school and stuff. Where did you play Little League at, and how was that?
I played Little League in a city called Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
And it's way different from down here. It's like a lot more kids, a lot more people. Yeah. It's awesome. I mean, I loved it, but
yeah, I mean, that's a different environment altogether, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think it helped you up there playing Baltimore with all those kids?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I remember when I was younger, we had like this parking lot, and we used to play like tackle football on the concrete, and I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like that's what made me who I am today, because I'm not afraid to get hit from those times.
That definitely makes sense. Watching you play now,
It's kind of like on dodgeball when he says, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. If you can get tackled on concrete, you can take a hit on grass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, you was up there in Baltimore. Did you come down here about JV, or was it later on in the varsity?
It was the end of my freshman year. So, still in JV, but I didn't get to play my freshman year because of some complications. So, yeah.
How big of a change, going from up there as you got older, coming down here to Patrick Henry, like your first year in Patrick Henry?
My first year, I was nervous. I didn't know anyone, and as the years went on, I started to get to know people, and then as joining the football team, that's what really helped me like get out there more and open up to people. And
Well, I was going to wait to ask you about it, but since I think it's the perfect time for it, how as far as Coach Seth Padgett goes, I know for us, we're big fans of him. I think that you can see the way you all play, it's just toughness from the coaching aspect on down to the players. You can see his identity there. So how coming down there and, you being new and stuff, how did Coach Padgett help you with that? And even now, going through this season and later on, what do you think about Coach?
Oh, me and Coach Padgett are
Yeah.
tight. I love that guy. He's probably one of the best coaches I've ever had. Me and him have a very special bond, and he's helped me through everything. I mean, like not starting my freshman year, not playing barely any sophomore year, and then finally getting my shot junior year. He's pushed me to keep playing harder.
Awesome. So just kind of going on that, you didn't start your freshman sophomore year, you
Yeah,
said?
I didn't get to play freshman year.
Yeah. So what in all did you do to get from being where you were to being a starter? What kind of off-field work and stuff like that did you do to kind of prepare those years?
Yeah, bunch of lifting, speed work. I mean, like even when I had to play scout team against
Yeah.
the starters, I kind of showed that I can play that starting position. I feel like that's what helped me a lot to get to the starting position I'm at now.
Awesome.
Speaking of the weight room, is it? I mean, obviously, any good program, you have a good weightlifting program, but we heard Coach Tester talk about it and stuff. How big of an impact that made at Hurley is. I'm assuming the weight room at the program, Patrick Henry, is a big deal. I'm assuming, and is that kind of do y'all have like a strength coach there, or is that just kind of the coaches all kind of take time about? How's that work?
Well, our strength coach is our football coach, Coach Badgett.
Okay.
He's actually the strength coach in the morning, so I go in there and we lift and all that. He always says we're a weight room football team. It's paying off for sure.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense that he's also the strength coach, and so I could see him. I can see that. Just kind of speaking a little bit on this season you're having right now, which is remarkable. Playing the way y'all play, the offense. I've talked about it. I think you've probably heard me talk about your resilience and your toughness, be able to run over and over and over and over again like you do. How do you stay healthy this whole year? Because, I mean, there's guys that don't run the ball 10 to 15 times, and, I mean, you're carrying it 30, 40, 50 times, it seems like.
Yeah, I'm just drinking a lot of water, keeping my body healthy, taking ice baths. I'm actually the one that asks for the ball over and over and over and
Yeah.
over again.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's working out for you guys. Even playing like that, I wanted to mention Tyler Barrett that you have on the line. How much does it help having a guy like that to run behind?
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
I usually just put my hand on his back and let him do all the blocking. I just read wherever way he goes, and it's good.
Yeah, y'all's line is, I mean, as far as they're not huge, I guess, all across, but they're all very, very good size. But as a group, they're one of the better lines that I've seen in around the area for sure. I mean, especially y'all line up. I mean, it's not just the five guys. Like y'all line up, everybody is in the box. And I mean, how tall are you?
5'7".
So I mean,
5'7" and a half. Yes.
So you're hiding behind that line to begin with. So I mean, and as good as running back as you are, they first of all they can't find you. Then when they do find you, most of the time, from what I've seen, they can't catch you. So that's a pretty good combination to have there.
Yeah, it works out well. I just stay low and follow them the whole way, and then once I get into the open space, I just take off.
Yeah. Last week, y'all beat Grundy. I think I had the score up there. I think it's 48-9. Avenging the loss that you had earlier in the year, 27-25. I just wanted to ask you about that game, kind of the preparation you had going up to it, knowing that you had to avenge that loss and you knew it was going to be a tough game. And defensively, you all were great. Logan Lester, I think I had wrote down, I think he only had 10 yards rushing. And we've watched Logan play a few times this year. He's a good quarterback. So just, I guess, kind of talk about the preparation of that game, that rematch, and then how y'all done defensively.
So for preparation, we knew we had to go out there and win it because we knew it's either win or go home. So we've been working and working and working. We just paid off. And then So our defense gotten way better from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year to the end of right now. Uh, just like it's crazy how much we can change in a few weeks. Like before, it's like we couldn't tackle in space, and now it's 11 hats to the football. I mean, we changed a lot.
Yeah, this time of the year, especially,
mm,
any kind of team you face is obviously a playoff team. There's some good players, so like as you said, a team tackling at this point, you're not always going to be able to. You're going to come up against some good players, good athletes. So I mean, the team tackling thing, everybody to the ball is a huge deal, and I have noticed, over the course of the season, it does seem like y'all's defense has improved. You can tell by the scores, but I mean, is that you play defense? So is that how much? If you had to pick, I mean, obviously you're an amazing running back. Is it kind of anywhere close to the same? Do you prefer defense overall or offense over defense, or is it is it close at all? Or
Yeah, it's close. It's close. See, like I played corner for like my junior year and then half of let's say my senior year, and then they switched me to linebacker, and I love linebacker now. I just love getting off the edge and blitzing. That's my favorite part. But I also like running the ball and scoring, the feeling of making a touchdown. So I'd say it's even 50-50.
Yeah.
Do you come off the field at all, or are you on special teams too?
Yeah, I'm on everything.
Okay. I'm just wondering when you can. Yeah.
I'm just wondering when you can breathe. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my coach always brings me a water out there and makes sure I'm staying hydrated and drinking water. I'm like, Coach, I need some water. And he brings it out there. He's quick with it. So I'm like, good. I can stay out.
Yeah. I think I've been mistaking you for another game I watched, but do you receive the play on the sideline? Or is it your quarterback?
Oh, yeah, we all do. Like,
okay.
Yeah, how he has it set up, we all. Yeah.
I guess that'd be a quick water break.
Yeah.
Come in here, receive a play, get a little bit of water, go back.
Yeah, it is. It's good.
Yeah. We talked to Parker about this last week, and I'm sure it's the same way over there. How has the community kind of rallied around y'all, knowing it's playoff time? And I know this ain't the first time y'all been in the playoffs, so I'm sure the support there's pretty strong.
Yeah. I feel like we always had like a big community come together for football games. I mean, now I feel like it's growing, but it was the same as before. Like the intensity was the same. It's just a lot more people now.
That's good.
Like you could have like 5-6 people and they're loud as 20 to 30 people. So I feel like the community is just like the same.
And I'm sure they are just as pumped as you all are. The style that you all play with and stuff like that, I'm sure they come out with that same kind of toughness. We just talked about rematch with Grundy. We got another one coming up here this week, and I know you don't want to give away too much, and we're not asking you to, but just kind of hitting a little bit on that previous game and just what you're looking forward to. Minus details, I guess, going forward to this match Saturday.
Well, I feel like our last game, the last time we met them, it was a really good game. I mean, it was a dogfight out there. It was touchdowns after touchdowns after touchdowns for both of us, and I feel like it's going to be a really good game come Saturday. And we're ready. We're pumped. I mean, I'm sure they're pumped too, and it's going to be a good game.
I'm definitely excited for it. The last one, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, so many twists and turns, momentum changes. I mean, that was high school. I mean, two different styles too. I mean, exact opposite styles.
Yeah, like Cam said, the styles. You have two great offenses. Both of y'all, do it different ways. I can see this game this weekend coming down to which defense is able to make more plays. Because I think both of y'all on offense are going to do your thing and put points up. I feel like it's one of those games where it's going to come down to the first one to defense to get a big stop.
Yeah.
But what from a defensive perspective, what's it like preparing for an offense like theirs? As far as kind of spread it out. Y'all are running teams, so is it easy to go against like a practice team? Can you simulate that at all, or is it just kind of a lot of film more than on the field work, or how's that work?
I mean, it's a little complicated to simulate it in practice because they got a lot of players that can score from everywhere, and I mean, just how he throws the ball, Peyton, and how they run. I mean, they could do whatever. I mean, it's hard to simulate it, but just watching a lot of film helps.
Because I would imagine that they have a hard time simulating your all's offense to go against also. I mean, they don't have y'all are just so different, offensive styles. So I'm really looking forward to watching the matchup.
Kind of looking forward a little bit, which I'm not, trying to look past this Saturday because that's going to be a heck of a game. But recruiting wise, are you getting any looks? And is there anybody that you're interested in so far?
I'm getting a few looks. I mean, still in season, so how some college do it. They like to wait till after season, then they'll start calling and texting, coming out to see you.
Neither of us would know anything about that, so we don't know how this all works.
Something we did ask Parker, and I'll ask you too. Do you have a message? Like I told him, I'm not sure how many college coaches will even watch this, but do you have a message to any colleges as far as what you can do on the field, what you bring to a team?
Just my vision, how I run. I mean, I'm not afraid to get hit, and I know I'm not the biggest, I'm not the strongest, but I like to prove people wrong, and I feel like I go once I see something, I go after. It's like for anything, I'm excited for the college level, and it's going to be a different.
Yep. You got one more. I got one more.
I'll get one more real quick as far as this weekend. Do you have a preference on? I know during the playoffs like this, would you rather play on a Saturday day, or do you like the Friday night games for playoffs?
I love those Friday night lights. I feel like Friday nights are just where it's at, just that feeling with the lights beaming down on the field and that nice cool temperature. It's different.
Yeah, I think I played in one Saturday game at Honaker, maybe my junior year, and it was cool at first. Halfway through the game, that sun's beaming down on you, and you're like, man, this ain't for me. So I had one more thing I was going to ask you before we let you go here. We asked Parker this as well. Is there anything as far as that motivation goes that something you play for or something you carry with you when you're out there?
I have a lot of motivation. Just like where I came from, like that area, I feel like I'm very blessed for the opportunity that I was given to come down here and play the sport that I love. Not many people get that chance, and that's really what motivates me the most. Because I know this only comes once in a lifetime, so you might as well take it while it's here.
Exactly. Well, man, I'm so thankful for you coming on.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, I told Parker, I said, man, you set the bar high, and I think you're up there with it too. Anybody that follows you guys, I mean, it's gonna be hard.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on here. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I want to tell you, you go ahead, more. I was telling good luck.
I was gonna say, I look forward to watching you this weekend. We'll be there, or I will. I'm not sure what Cam's plans are. I think you're going to try to, right, if you can. But
if I can, I got a sick baby, so we're going to see how it works out.
But
that's awesome.
I'll definitely be there. Like I said, looking forward to the rematch. Watch the first one on TV. Can't wait to watch the second one. And stay healthy. Good luck, and after the season, good luck in all your future. We'll keep up with you. Be following you, man. We appreciate your time.
Thank you guys for supporting me. Thank you guys for having me on here too. It's awesome.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
That was our interview with Cam Goodspeed. Man, great kid.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly,
how many kids right now are going to practice, getting ready for a playoff game, and then going to work, a job? I mean, I know there's some out there, but you don't hear about that a lot. So I mean, all that on top of still working a job, man. He's solid, humble kid. So
I'd actually told I told Chelsea that earlier. I said that impresses me so much because it's not just that he gets up, goes to school, works, or gets up, goes to school, has practice, works, gets up and does it again. But the way that he plays and the way they use him, it's not like he's going to practice and sitting on the sidelines or sitting at maybe receiver and not touching the ball. I mean, he's getting the ball every time. And
he
especially
obviously
with
doesn't get tired.
the games and stuff.
And
I don't think
big
he does.
shout out again. We appreciate him and Parker for coming on. And I mean, obviously both of them are pretty busy at the moment, and take time, just come on here. We really appreciate that. I enjoy any interview we do with the guests, but getting those guys that are still playing on here, I really do enjoy those a lot. I'm glad we're able to do
favorite.
that.
No, yeah. I mean, we have. Those guest, episodes we do. I feel like that. I enjoy them. I think they're awesome. I think it's awesome for the community to see them. But those guys, at the same time, they've been through their career. They've answered tough questions. I'm not saying they know political answers, but they know how to answer questions.
Yeah, they've been in interviews. Which I'm sure these guys have been in interviews, but I mean, it's just I don't know that I could have went on a thing like this when I was in high school, man. I would have been I don't know if I'd have been able to do it. I mean, I maybe would have figured it out, but they all seem, I know that things have changed with social media and they're used to being on, stuff, but I mean,
like you said, both of them handled it very well. I do want to take this brief moment before we get into recapping last week's games to say thank you for everybody that shared last week's episode with Parker. And I mentioned it on the post, but I do want to apologize a little bit. I tried to edit out like some of the audio, the echo and stuff. We had some technical stuff going on. I didn't catch it beforehand, but we caught it halfway through. But at that point, it was a little too late. So
somebody forgot to plug something in, and his name was not Cameron. So that's my bad. I apologize,
but
I'll take it. I deserve it.
Yeah,
I
still should have caught it.
I went the whole podcast not even realizing I was talking into the mic the whole time, thinking it was plugged in. Like, I don't know. My bad.
It happens. We're not like years into this thing, so we're gonna have some things go on. Well, I guess we can go ahead and jump into this, man. You want to recap some of these games?
I will. Let me throw this out there real quick. I thought this was interesting. I'm sure you've seen it. Phobos, I think is how you pronounce that high school out east, beat Jamestown 104-0.
Yeah, playoff game.
Yeah, the coach apparently was on USA Today or something talking about this and talking about how he didn't like it. They felt bad about it, didn't want to do it. Kids were asking for it, fans were asking for it. What's your take? I mean, would you do that there at that point? Like, because I think the way it was, they were up a lot, obviously, but they threw for their last touchdown. That's kind of what the thing was. Like, if you run it in, that's one thing. But if you're throwing to try to get it, that makes it look worse. But at that point, do you just say, let's do this for and get it? What would you do?
I wouldn't. I would run it. I wouldn't care if I was on fourth down and had an opportunity to score. I think I'd just kneel it. I think that there's a certain level of we're not in the NFL. This is high school football.
Well,
I think there's a level of respect that the game deserves, and and with that being said, I also do believe that as a defense, you got to learn to stop them too. I understand that aspect of it, so I'm not really making excuses for their side, but man, 104-0 is that's wild.
I tend to go your direction. Like I would always, normally I would always say, just don't do that. Like I don't care if it's the other team's job to stop you or not. At a certain point, there's unwritten rules in sports. I feel like it's one of them, especially in high school. But the only thing I would say is it's a playoff game. It's not like it's a regular season game where it's they're playing a good team. So I don't know if does that play anything into it for you at all, or does that?
See, I don't know. See, I can't remember what I was reading, if it was on X or if it was on Facebook, but I was reading the comments on it, and they talked about how the other regions in that area had a lot of teams, but that one in particular did not have that many. So yes, it was a 1 versus 8 seed, but that 8 seed was like towards the bottom, like of the region or whatever it was. So like they knew going into it more than likely it was going to be a blowout.
I think you just. I mean, you're going to have people who don't have no problem with it. You're going to have people who, really, really have a big problem with it. But I think at the end of the day, if he's saying all that about he didn't like it and didn't, then that pretty well tells you probably should have done it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But what was very interesting is the last Southwest Virginia team, or it says far Southwest Virginia in the paper. I'm not sure how east you have to go before it's not far Southwest to break 100. Was actually Hurley versus Mullins, Kentucky in 1970, and they won 102-0 on Halloween.
Wow.
Yeah, thought that was interesting.
Nightmare. Yeah.
We won't go into these first two very much, but they are kind of around the area. So, and especially the first one, Fort Chiswell beat Narrows 48-19. Narrows was the 1 seed, I think, in that region. So,
were they 1 seed or Grayson County? I thought.
Or I'm sorry, Grayson County was. They were a 3 seed, I guess. They fell to 3.
They were 2 for a very long time.
Bath County and Grayson County, or Bath County and Narrows both got beat pretty bad.
Yeah.
I think Galax beat Bath County pretty bad, and Fort Chiswell obviously beat Narrows pretty bad, and George Wythe beat Prairie McClure. So, is that just that part of the competition they were playing up there, maybe you think, or the battle tested in the other district with, that play a part? What went on here, you think?
I read, I don't know, I might have been listening to, it might have been that Tailgate Talk podcast the other day. They had the East Side coach on there. It might have been on that one, or it might have been on another one I was listening to, but they were actually talking that they predicted Bath County to lose in that first round. So I guess that might just be, their schedule they play. Maybe that 9 or 10-0 that they had wasn't really predictive of what the team they were. I think they may have lost one. I can't remember because they played Narrows that last week, so Narrows may have beat them. I can't remember.
Yeah, Narrows beat them pretty bad, I think.
Yeah, so I think
there's a big drop off there apparently.
Yeah, I think that one was kind of to be expected. But now I think that out of that region, I think George Wythe is the best team.
Yeah,
we already seen them beat Grayson County. Shut them out
at Grayson County.
Yeah, and I think George Wythe is kind of starting to hit their stride. And that quarterback, Tandem Smith, I think's his name. He's a stud. I mean, he's a big time playmaker. I don't know what's on the other side of the state, but at least in that region and the region that we have, I could see them making it to the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it, but we'll get into the around here region games. Twin Springs beats Chilhowie in overtime, 28-21. Twin Springs was absent 3 starters on the offensive line. 2 of them ended up coming in the second half to just play on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Not I don't know what. Obviously, I wasn't there. Don't know what kind of boost that gave them, but I think they were all sick. Is why they were out. But Twin Springs also had 4 fumbles in the first half.
Yeah.
Which you can't. It don't matter who you play. You have 4 fumbles in a half. Doesn't matter. Sometimes it doesn't matter the competition, whether it's a region game or not. You're going to have a hard time bouncing back. So they were able to come back from that. Kilgore had 142 yards on 21 carries. It makes him 1,574 on the season. Dingus had 2 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing. Tazewell beat Ridgeview 54-18. Ridgeview was without Ryan O'Quinn. He was injured previous week. If I had known that, I probably wouldn't have went to that game. I thought with him playing, it could be a shootout. And from what I've seen, their backup, Brockhoff, come in and do, I think it would have been a shootout because he was 14 of 30 for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think one of those touchdowns was later in the game, but he had success for a while throwing it when he had time. He just didn't have time. And I'm telling you, somebody who was probably sore Sunday morning, that kid got hit a lot. But stood in there, did a good job. I mean, in a backup role, but Tazewell, man, just too many weapons.
Well, we had talked, a good bit about it last week. Just their defense is a little bit underrated because the big games they played are against some really good teams. And I think the defense kind of got overlooked a little bit just because of those games. And their offense is just so good.
They did. I think you're right, but honestly, if O'Quinn's healthy, I think Ridgeview puts some points up on him, and I think it's a shootout. I think Tazewell wins and pulls away late, but I think it would have been pretty good game.
Well, I do want to mention some things with that. I forgot to stop you. I did want to mention. I'll mention it when we go on to the preview in the Twin Springs game next. This coming week. But as far as Tazewell goes, Brock Alley had a heck of a game. He had 2 pick sixes, so that's crazy to see.
And those were the first interceptions of the year, I think. Maybe his career. I can't remember what they said, but those are his first 2, and he scored on both of them.
I was like, we had his stats. They had sent us. I'd have to go back and look.
That's
something else. Well, I'm sorry. I mean,
it said. I'm pretty sure it said in the paper that was his first 2 career interceptions, and both of them he scored on both. But that was Tazewell's.
I was looking at right here. I was looking at their stats they sent us, and they don't have anything for Alley as far as interceptions. So it must have been.
Yeah, that was Tazewell's first playoff win since 2008. That was their first win against the Mountain 7. I don't know if it's first win or not. First playoff win, I guess, over at Mountain 7. But their coach talked about how they've struggled. One. Yeah, they've struggled with the physicality of the Mountain 7 teams up front, and they didn't struggle with it Saturday. They were, you could tell up front they did a good job. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ridgeview got some pressure on them, but not enough. Creasy had 441 yards, 5 touchdowns of 19 of 24 passing. Several of those were some screens that his playmakers took, but also some throws downfield, obviously, that he hit on. McDonald has 7 catches for 197 yards. We'll find out. Well, no, we won't. Because they're playing Graham, I think so.
No, they're playing Union this week.
They're playing Union. Okay,
Union.
We'll talk. Yeah, I want to talk about that when we get to it. We'll do it later.
I do want to say before you go on, Tazewell put on there tonight, Virginia Max Preps passing leaders through this week on the season. Number 1 is Carter Creasy in the state of Virginia. And I'm assuming that is all classifications. He's got 3,173 yards and 36 touchdowns. He is the first player in school history at Tazewell to have a 3,000-yard season.
He's good. He doesn't blow you away like when you look at him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like Goodspeed. Like if you just seen him out, seen him out there, he's smaller type, built. And I'm probably saying that about Creasy. If I got up next to him, he's probably like really tall, but he doesn't look big. Maybe it's because he's around, maybe they got big guys around him, but he doesn't look like a big guy. But man, he can sling it, and he's a lot more athletic and fast than what you would, what you think. He can move pretty good.
And they got weapons all over the field too. I mean, it's not just McDonald that's showing up. You got the Patterson kids. I mean, they're putting up numbers too.
Yeah,
So
they're going to
they
be
got plenty of weapons. And Brock Alley on offense,
yeah.
he's doing good.
Yeah, put him in the backfield. Yeah,
yeah,
they're good. Yeah, we'll talk about this here. I'm very intrigued in that matchup, that Union defense, but we'll get on it more.
Yeah.
Speaking of Union, they beat Virginia High 34-6. Virginia High's coach had, huge praise for Union's defense, talking about it's one of the fastest defenses they played. And he didn't say the fastest, obviously, but they play grams and teams like that. So, but Anderson for Union had 54 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, 129 in the air. He was 16 of 24. Bostic had 8 receptions for 72 yards. Huff had 7 receptions, 56 yards. Union had 237 yards rushing total as a team. They held Virginia High, obviously starting a freshman quarterback, and that's a tall task to ask of a freshman going up against that Union defense on the road. And they held Virginia High to some low numbers on offense, but like I said, Virginia High looked better late in the year, so hats off to them, and they're probably going to be better moving forward. But just Union too much. Rye Cove and East Side, Rye Cove won 15-6. Rye Cove, they had 328 yards of total offense, 218 rushing, but didn't score in the first half, right? I'm pretty sure.
No, they. I think they had. It was nothing because they got the safety at the end.
Yeah,
and which you're getting ready to speak on that. So.
But here's a crazy stat: Eastside had 181 yards of total offense. 176 of those were in the first half.
Yeah,
so
Rye Cove's defense came out to play at second half.
Second half, holding the team in a playoff game. What is that? 5 yards of offense in the second half. Like that's pretty. That's some Ray Jones defense type numbers right there.
Yeah, they got a heck of a running back too because that Keldon Hamilton, I think that's his name. Keaton Hamilton. We've talked about him before. As far as freshmen go, he's probably the best freshman in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he had maybe 60, 70 yards between him and the other back. Rye Cove's defense stepped up big, and we're usually talking about their offense, but their defense, that's playoff football.
Yeah. Patrick Henry, 49, Grundy, 8. Kind of already hit on that, talking Goodspeed, but he had 223 yards on 23 carries and 5 touchdowns. On the season, now he has 43 touchdowns, 2,332 yards. That's not a bad year. That's pretty, like he said, he was only 600, maybe 500 or 600 yards away from the score record. And honestly, if they beat Honaker, he'll have to have a big game, I feel like, for them to win. If they can get by them, he'll probably get it the second game. So you just never know. Obviously, honestly, he could have 500 yards rushing against Honaker and then Honaker win if Honaker's offense gets hot.
Yeah.
There's a lot that could go on over there Friday night or Saturday day, but they held Grundy to 115 yards of offense.
Yeah. That's impressive, given the last game how it went. That was I think that's Grundy's biggest win of the year that they had during the season.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they, like he said, their defense has gotten better. I think over the you could tell in that Honaker game. I know the field conditions weren't great, but still to hold Honaker to that amount of points, you got to be doing something good on defense.
And Grundy, shout out to Coach Bartley over there too. His first year in the turnover I think they had from last year into this year. They lost a lot of guys last year, so I think that was I think all things considered, it's a pretty good year. It's still
making
VD
playoffs first year, absolutely.
So,
yeah. I'd say if you ask him going into the season, not telling him a record, but telling him you're in the playoffs as a 5 seed. Obviously he would. You hope to be better, but I think he would have been okay with that. What he had coming back. So, but anyway, Honaker defeated Rural Retreat 30-15. Honaker only had 132 yards of offense in the first half. Defense, I mean, they didn't give up a lot of points in the first half, but there were long drives that they gave up. Rural Retreat did a good job of keeping them off the field, putting together drives. It didn't seem like the Honaker we're used to in that first half. Second half, the first drive Rural Retreat had, you could tell Honaker made adjustments on defense. Obviously, I don't know what all the details, but pretty much from what I've seen, they basically took away any run to that on the edge. Basically, everything. If you run it, if Rural Retreat run it, was having to come up the gut, and their linebackers and D linemen, cleaned up. That was a huge adjustment, I thought, because they were having success outside and inside for a while there, but when they did that, that kind of shut that all down.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I mean, they talked about it in the paper, and I heard somebody mention it the other day. The seniors got up at halftime and really made a statement like, "Hey, is this going to be our last game?" And I think that Lowe had talked about it a little bit, Aiden. So I think that that kind of shows you the maturity and some of those seniors, and you need that in playoff football. I mean, the coach is going to make his speech and all that, but sometimes you get those players that step up and challenge everybody, and then for them to answer the call, that's a good growing moment. But he said at halftime, the quote in the paper, which I thought was pretty telling of how their offense kind of started in the second half. Their goal was to, quote, run the ball down the throat of the defense until they made changes, unquote. So, and I think this is kind of like, we talked about it earlier in the year. I think it was Patrick Henry. I think it was that game, how they kind of came out and, throwing the ball around. I mean, that's their offense. And you always want to take those big shots. You always want to see if you can get those screens and stuff going. But it seems like in the second half of the Patrick Henry game and this one, they worked. I mean, the running game wasn't the leading factor, I don't guess. I mean, you still have that passing game you have to watch for, but they ran the ball more and made the defense honor it. And when we're getting this next game, we'll talk about, if maybe that just needs to be the game plan going in from the beginning. But, I mean, that's definitely, from what I saw watching it at home here and, reading the paper, it seems like that's kind of what they did. And then everything else kind of followed in place after that.
Well, the biggest X factor I've seen that I hadn't seen, I mean, you've seen it occasionally throughout the year, but, I didn't watch a lot of their games, but, the few I did watch, and maybe it's just because it hasn't had to, but, Music's legs instead of his arm made some huge plays. He had 84 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns rushing. I think that was a big time X factor that got him out of some bad situations, and he, because he's athletic, and I know you can't, run him a lot, but like if they can add that as a threat, I mean that puts another dynamic on there that you don't, teams can't prepare for. So, I mean, and like you said, the passing game, like obviously, this is just the outside looking in, casual observer, but it seems like the first half, like everything was, they were trying to, deep threats. Like it seemed like they, early in the year, I feel like they were taking what the defense was giving them a little more with the, short passing game, then opening up deep, and open up the running game. So maybe they get back to that a little more.
Well,
I don't know enough about it, obviously to know this. It's just a, observation.
Yeah. I mean, I think Rural Retreat, the little bit that I watched, did a great job at taking away the deep shot. And kind of preparing for that screen game that they had,
Mm-hmm.
and even those little swing passes. And I think I messaged you about halfway through. I was like, man, they're going to have to start hitting some routes probably just behind that first wave
Mm-hmm.
of that defense. And I'm not sure what they were planning to play in zone or what, but it seemed like they had a good game plan against Homeacre.
Yeah.
All things
River Retreat's
considered.
not a bad team. I'm very after
Yeah.
watching them play over there. Like I said, I don't know. Very surprised they were the 8th seed.
Yeah.
I know they play in a good district, but they're a pretty good team. I thought, but
yeah. Something I wanted to say before you went off of this game. Some things, some guys I just want to mention. Parker got 1,000 yards receiving on the year, so congrats to him on that. The guy we haven't talked about much on here, I know Parker mentioned last week, but senior Tyler Cole on that offensive line, he's been a heck of a player, and I think that offensive line was maybe, talking about the running game and stuff like that, maybe a deciding factor in the second half. Aiden Lowe had 106 yards for 19 carries, so I think they were a big factor in that second half adjustment they had. But to end it there, Peyton Music, 4,411 career passing yards, breaks Heath Miller's record. So congrats to him.
Well, I know you can't compare, this to that, but just to put in a little perspective for Creasy, 4,000 yards for Peyton in a career, which he's just a junior.
Yeah,
but Creasy's thrown for over 3,000 in this season, so I mean, which he's just a junior. So I mean, it's wild. It's just. I don't remember. I know we've talked about it before. Maybe I just didn't pay enough attention, didn't read enough paper. I know the game's changed at all levels, but there's a lot of good quarterbacks around here. I mean, it used to be every school had a really good running back in the day. Like you could, but every school didn't have a great quarterback. But now it seems like a lot of these places have these really, really good quarterbacks putting up ridiculous numbers.
I mean, it's not just like I thought. We talked about it in one of our earlier episodes, how great the quarterback play is in this area, and I thought maybe it's just recency bias. Maybe I just didn't pay attention enough, a while back. But I don't think it is. I mean, you look at some of the numbers, the records that's being broke, and a lot of it too is different offenses and stuff.
Yeah.
Things are changing in this area. But last week, we talked about it, and of course, this is maybe. After the heck of a game he had last week with Creasy, maybe these are even changed a little bit. But we talked about it last week how he was sixth most as far as completions go. He was sixth most in VHSL history. That's before this week. And the career passing yards he had last week, which was 7,822, ranked him 11th most in VHSL history. So those are, that's what Tazewell had sent us last week before this week's game. So he might be even further up than that now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's remarkable what he's doing.
Yeah.
And all the quarterbacks in this area.
Yeah. Graham beat Lehigh 56-14. And I didn't know who to give a player of the week to. There's so many, there's several to pick from. Obviously, numbers-wise, Creasy probably would have got it. I'm going to give it to Clements for Graham. Just because of the fact he had 149 yards on 6 carries. He didn't play the second half.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had 3 touchdowns like the first quarter or second.
Probably.
I can't remember.
You
can almost give it to him every week, man. He plays.
I was going to say, you really could. And that's to say, not to take anything away from anybody else, but if Graham wanted to, he'd have, maybe not every game, but last week he could have had over 300 yards rushing easy. 159 on. He probably could have had 400. He'd probably still be running. I don't, what I mean. So I'm gonna give it to him because he's the best player, probably single best player. I know you don't, you can't go by the yard or by the stats on every, I know even though those quarterbacks are really good, I think if you ask people around here, I think they'd all be unanimous. I think everybody knows he's probably the best player. And we ain't mentioning him that much, like it's crazy. But
well, I mean, he was hurt for so many games.
Yeah.
So you think, he broke Ahmad Bradshaw's record, and I'm sure Ahmad probably didn't playing, a few games as far as they're probably up big and they probably set him just like they do Clemens.
Yeah.
But it is pretty remarkable that he has played the way. I mean, got the stats and stuff that he has.
Yeah.
Given the fact that he was hurt and he does sit out for most of their games when he plays.
Yeah. I mean, that's just on 6 carries. Like that's crazy. I know
we talked about last week. I mean, seeing him up against some of these teams in 2A is going to be fun, like Radford and Riverheads and Pequosen. I mean, there's all kinds of teams in there that we'll see who gets to the end, but seeing him up against that top of the 2A, or I mean,
if
we gotta see if he gets past Union or even Gate City first. So
I don't know. They're going to get past Gate City. We'll talk about that. Gate City beats Marion 28-14 to end out the. Well, they started off actually on Thursday night, but to end out our last week's matchups, and Aberdeen got eliminated by Christiansburg. I can't remember what the score was in that. It was close for a while, I think, but it ended up being pretty bad, I think. But that'll take us into next week, man. 1A, Honecker. We'll start here. Honecker at versus Patrick Henry. Saturday. Is that what we said?
Yeah.
2:00 probably.
Yes. Yeah. So we got Patrick Henry at Honecker Saturday at 1:00.
1:00.
We got 2 Friday night games and 2 Saturday games in this area.
So,
and 1A, 1 2A on each day, if that makes sense.
So let's get into it. I'm excited for all of these. Well, not really one of them, but there's a few good. The 1A, I'm very excited about these 1A games. The storylines, everything about them. There's nothing. It's all very intriguing. What are you? I mean, I think it's obvious what people, if you really, without breaking it down a lot, Patrick Henry has to run the ball, run clock. I mean, that's the game plan, obviously, that we've seen it a couple of times now this year.
Yeah.
Honecker has to capitalize on big plays, I think, to get so.
Yeah, for sure. That's the one we're getting into first, the Patrick Henry Honecker one.
Yeah. Go ahead and jump into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that honestly, man, as a football fan, and which I'm a huge fan of the air raid, but I think as a football fan, this is the type of game you want to see. Playoff football, a rematch of a game that was a heck of a game. Stars all over the field. Goodspeed, Barrett, Honecker, Peyton Music, Parker Bandy, Aiden Lowe. I mean, the list goes on and on. But two, different styles as far as their offenses go. You got an offense in Honecker that air raid. They air it out, put up 40, 50 points a game. They're one of the top scoring teams in the whole state. And you got Patrick Henry that they'll run the ball 40, 50 times a game. Goodspeed alone will run it 40, 50 times a game.
Yeah.
And you got two coaches that, if I'm not mistaken, they coach together. They're good friends from what I remember listening to on the game of the week on the first matchup they had. They talked about it quite a bit. So two great coaches with Coach Padgett and Tiller. So, man, it's gonna be a heck of a game, and I just hope that everybody stays healthy. I hope that we're able to see the best of what each team has out there on the field, and I think that's a game that for this area is gonna be a big game.
It's supposed to rain, of course.
Yeah, every time.
It's really aggravating. I know I know, like I said, that's part of playoff football in Virginia, especially. It could be snowing, it could be raining, or it could be a beautiful 60-degree day. You really never know. I didn't want it to rain on this one just because I wanted to see it in good weather, and it may not rain. It's a small right now. There's a smaller chance, but
there's not. Mine doesn't show any for Saturday, but it shows about 40-50% chance on Friday night. I think it might.
I might have looked at the wrong day. So hopefully that's the case.
Yeah.
It's going to be. It's such a different style of match. Like I said, told Goodspeed. I feel like the first defense, the defense that makes the most plays, I feel like almost is going to have the edge here because, as much as Honecker's probably going to have a good chance of moving the ball on them, they're going to be able to run at Honecker. I don't see either defense having an advantage, having to just looking at it from last game, Honecker had struggled stopping their run. So I feel like whoever has the best defensive game plan and can make plays is probably going to, and it could be a turnover just like last game that is a difference in the game.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it the other day too. I think that Honecker's defense doesn't like just pop out at you as a strong defense, but they got so many playmakers like Aiden Lowe and Parker Bandy that they're very opportunistic defense. I think you mentioned that the other day, which I mean, credit to them. They kept Honecker in the game the other night. Their defense did because the offense was getting kind of. I mean, it was stalled out a little bit, so they kept it within striking distance. And then the second half they came back, but it's like you said, the defense is going to be huge Saturday, and a turnover here and there might determine the outcome of the game. I mean, it kind of did last time. I mean, you think about
for sure did. Well, maybe not the game, but it was going to go in overtime at least. I mean,
Goodspeed had that fumble, and it was one that wasn't really like. It's one of those you're running the ball, you see the hole, and this is just from watching on TV what it looked like. It was like an inadvertent arm that came out of nowhere and just happened to catch him. It wasn't even really like a helmet on the ball type situation. So turnovers are huge in games like that. So we'll see what happens. I think that that moment that Honecker had in the locker room this past Saturday, that kind of that gut punch they gave each other by saying, "Hey, this is not where our season's going to end. We're going to win this game," and they came out and ran it down their throat. They got to have that before the game, because this game is going to be a dogfight. Man, the way that Patrick Henry plays, I mean, you could kind of see that in Goodspeed a little bit when he was talking. He didn't want to give away too many details, but I think that little smile he had was kind of like, "Oh, we're ready." And I'm sure Honecker's feeling the same thing, but it's going to be a dogfight, man. They're going to the trenches. It's going to be physical.
Well, I mean, there's nothing to give away. I mean, it's pretty well what they know. I mean, everybody knows what's going to happen. I feel like the only, and again, this is just from observation. I have no real knowledge of this at all, but it looked. I don't know if Honecker has done this all year or if it's just their game plan going to roll retreat. But it looked like they're running like a three, down linemen and let the linebackers, fit this feeling. Well, they walked those outside linebackers up against roll retreat Friday night and took away the edge completely. I almost feel like, and again, obviously they know a lot more than I do. I feel like with Patrick Henry, I don't see how, I feel like if they have the guys over there, I would almost just go to a 5-man front with all D linemen, and just if you have to, sub some guys out, maybe go something different.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not obviously they know what their best plan is here, but I just don't see how, unless you can match them up front like that with some size, I don't see how you can slow that running game down much.
Well, and
go ahead.
Honestly, to your point, talking about having 3 down linemen, I guess that Patrick Henry's offense kind of forces you into that, to having like the 5 down guys. But then on the other side of it, they're used to that. They're used to blocking guys in that technique or in that formation. So, do you come out there with maybe a 3 or 4-man front and having the linebackers kind of play in odd spots just to confuse the linemen? Because I mean, they're so used to it. But then, I mean, that's to begs the question, like what you're saying. Could you?
I don't know what they did. I don't know what they did over there last time. They very well may have started out in, a bigger front over there, and I mean, like I said, there's enough film out there for them to know. Obviously, what it's not like we're inventing the wheel here. So, I mean, they know what they need to do. I just, from a fan standpoint, I'll be very curious to see what kind of alignment they come out in and what they start in. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I think it's going to be be one of those situations you might have a hard time finding a spot on the fence, a little on a seat somewhere.
Yeah.
So, we'll get to our next one. Rye Cove and Twin Springs at Rye Cove, Friday night, 7:00, I think. This, after watching that last game, I would have definitely leaned towards Rye Cove having a very good chance at home, but I mean, their offense just wasn't clicking against the East Side, and it's not the same offense that we've seen earlier in the year, which, granted, that was against Honecker, and it was a much different defense probably than, East Side and Twin Springs was throwing out there at them. But I don't know. It just seems like
well, I think we ought to give East Side some credit too, though. I think that that's a team I don't think anybody wanted to see in the first round. Head coach Mike Rhodes over there, he's done a great job with them. And on that podcast I was listening to the other day, he was talking about how they had lost a lot of games. It was one-score games. And I think when they played Rye Cove during the year, it was a one-score game. I might be wrong on that. I'd have to look and see, but I think it was one score then.
They might have scored late and made it. I think it was 12 for a while there. They might have scored late and cut it, but they also had an overtime win at Hurley.
Yeah, so, but I think also kind of like he was saying on the podcast, they're young. Like, they're so young. Like, their linemen are young. Their backs, like that Hamilton kid, he's a freshman. And I think as the year went on, they started really kind of developing what they were going to do, their identity, their toughness. They had lost, I think it was 48-36 in the year, and they only lost to Twin Springs 28-20. So I think that, given, and they only lost to Chilhowie 25-22. So a lot of those games, those are pretty good teams. Chilhowie played with Honecker for a little bit. So I just think that East Side was going to be a tough out for anybody that had them in the first round. I think best is yet to come with them the next few years if all of them keep coming out and
true,
stay healthy.
A tough out and holding Rye Cove scoreless in the first half are two completely different things. I think it's more about, I don't know. I don't know. I just worry about the offensive momentum Rye Cove's had the end of the season. Even against Twin Springs over there, it seemed like they weren't. At some point there, they just lined up, and then that kind of like what Honecker tried to do. They lined up and ran it. Against Honecker, they were spread out. They were different from, they would come back in and run some power. They could spread it out. And maybe they can still do things. Maybe it was a matchup thing. I don't know. But I give the edge to Rye Cove in this one, but it's going to be another great game, I think. Hopefully those guys from Twin Springs get healthy and are at full strength so we can see another, both teams at full strength. That's what we all want.
I was going to say.
I predict Rye Cove to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Twin Springs going over there and beat them.
Yeah. I could see that game being a lot like the East Side and Rye Cove game, it being a very low-scoring game, especially with the familiarity of them playing just, a week or so ago.
It won't be now because we said that. It'll be 50-40.
It'd be way up there. But something I was going to mention before, and I just said I would save it, was Thomas Calhoun that played for him, played for Twin Springs last week. He had a heck of a play, a fourth down stop, kind of stopped the Warriors there at the end from scoring. And so I just want to give him a shout out. They said he usually wears number 1, and they had him 55 because he had to play on the offensive line.
Yeah, usually like a tight end, right? Yeah. I meant to mention that they had a big fourth down stop and held him at the goal line in regulation. That was there was a lot of chances there. I mean, they were lucky to get out of there with the win, especially with those not being healthy. That's the word. I mean, you want to be healthy all year, but playoff time rolls around. That's when you need to be at full strength. But I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm going to try to go to that one. I think I'm going to get with Mark, and probably going to go watch it. So,
Scott County Super Bowl Part 2.
Part 2, yep.
Part 2.
So we'll move on to 2A. You got we'll go Graham, Gate City.
Go ahead and get this one out of the way.
Yeah, I don't see this being close myself. I know you're a little bigger on Gate City. It's not that I don't think Gate City's a good team. I just think they can't. I don't think they'll be able to score enough, maybe to and I know they got a good defense also, but I think Graham is. I feel like it's too much for him. Clement's being healthy now, and they're starting to find their stride. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a tough one for them, but you never know.
Yeah, no, I think that I am a little higher on Gate City. I think they've been playing great towards the end of the year, but man, I watched that game beginning to end the other night with Marion, and credit to Marion too. They kind of found their identity towards the end of the year. They really became a run-heavy team. I mean, I don't think they passed the ball for like a whole month or so. So I mean, they run the ball well, and they ran the ball well against Gate City to begin with. Their first drive took out the whole first quarter. It was wild to me. I think that that game could have went very different. Things didn't kind of go Gate City's way. Gate City made a lot of big plays. Hickman had a great game on defense. Hillman ended up finally in the second half. He had 7 rushing yards in the first half. Ended up getting around almost 80 in the second half. And we mentioned it before, but Luke Bledsoe, his stats don't pop out at you a lot, but he made some really big plays. I think he had 1 or 2 touchdowns, maybe more than that. But he had a 2-point conversion that was great, man. He rolled out. It's almost like Brock Purdy. Rolled out, almost got sacked, reverse field, came on the other side. I think he threw it or ran it. I can't remember. But it was beautiful to watch. Gay City's social media team, they're on it, man. They have that stuff uploaded instantly.
They're one of the better social media teams that you follow. That's pretty impressive what they got going on over there as far as that goes. That'd be awesome as a player to have that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's basically like a college type stuff they do over there. Like what they're able to, like you said, it's instant, and they're out there. It's really cool what they do over there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, but just speaking on this game, and like you said, it's no disrespect to Gate City.
Not a bit.
City,
yeah. When I say I'm not big on them, I don't necessarily mean I don't think they're a good team. I just
in this particular matchup,
I don't follow them. I guess obviously we don't follow them as much as we do some of their teams. And I guess some of their scores, that's like. I guess they're not as we don't pop out, and we're not, but they're a very solid football team. Don't get me wrong. They're well coached and stuff, but yeah. And maybe I'm too high on Graham. I don't know, but I don't.
No, I don't think you are. I think that that's what I was going to say. Seeing the early success that Marion had, and I know the running game, the style's different, the formations and all that from what Marion does and what Graham does. But still, Gay City responded to that and ended up, doing pretty well against it through most of the game. But just to me, it's like, okay, what's Clement's going to do? And if you don't get on him early, I mean, you're going to have a great game plan because before you know it, he can have 2 or 3 touchdowns, like I said, in a quarter, and there you are, you're down, and their defense plays good too. But I think that Graham right now, if you were to have like as the playoffs are going, betting favorites, I think they're the number 1 team out of our region right now. I think Union is great, and I think that game's going to be a heck of a game if it comes down between them. But I think Graham's the hottest team right now in the region.
Well, again, I think they have the best player. I think. I will never cheer. I never pull. I don't want to say I'm pulling for teams because I don't have a dog in the fight. But the fan in me, I want to see Union Graham rematch really bad.
Yeah,
that's the most intriguing game to me is that defense and all those guys because they're as a team they don't have anybody necessarily like they got really good players, but like they're just a very very well coached solid defense. And have a lot of speed, in which you have to have some of that with Graham. Yeah. But would they have enough to contain them? That's the question. And I'm just very intrigued by that matchup. Like I said, I'm not going to say I hope that's who wins. I just want good games. But that's if I had to pick a matchup I'd want to see. That's what I kind of would want to watch. But
yeah.
Union and Tazewell. Speaking of offenses versus defenses, this is going to be. Okay, when's Union and Tazewell play? Are they Saturday or are they Friday?
Union and Tazewell is at Bullet Park Saturday at 2:00. Yep, that was going to be a really hard one for me because I talked to Chelsea about it earlier. I said Saturday came around. I really wanted to go to that one. Being at Bullet Park, historical place. Just see Tazewell's offense.
Terrible parking, by the way. I picked on Lebanon earlier. But
it's kind of hard.
Terrible parking.
Yeah. Now, when you went, did you get to see the entrance and stuff with them coming out? I mean, I went years ago when Mitchell played, and they talked about how they had the ambulance like kind of going off in the distance. You can hear the sirens, and they walk up to the field, I guess with it or in front of it, whatever, and come in.
No, we always get there late because we working on Fridays and then have to end up.
That's kind of like one of our traditions.
I know they got the train horn. Yeah, they got the big train horn
Maybe
thing.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Also, but I've never actually got to be there when they're doing their their entrance. Yeah. But that's tough. Denver just missed a field goal to win. That's tough because Patrick Henry and Honeckers.
Yeah, that's me. I'm stuck, kind of, but given the fact that my baby's sick, if I get to go to one, I'll probably go to the Honecker because it's not that far away. I'll probably go to that, and it's kind of cool too seeing their two guys came on a show to see them out there competing against each other. And I'm an even bigger fan of Goodspeed. Listen to him talk tonight. He's such a humble kid.
Yeah.
And watching him play.
Buffalo missed a kick, but Buffalo. Yeah. Denver missed a kick. Buffalo had 12 guys on the field, so Denver gets another chance to kick for a win here.
Wow.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But
no, you're good.
I thought that's funny.
I said what I did say, but
Denver chokes and then. Buffalo ends up giving, and then Denver wins on a walk-off field goal. But I guess I'll be at Honecker with my phone on watching Union and Tazewell.
Yeah.
Because I'll as much as I'd like to go watch the 1A region championship wherever it ends up being played at, whether it's at the high seed or a neutral site at a college. If Union and Graham's playing, I'm going wherever that one's at. So,
and hopefully they play on different days.
They'll both be. I'd say they'll both be Saturday for championship region Saturday championship games. I think. Union versus Tazewell is intriguing just because that defense. Same reason as Graham. I want to see Tazewell go up against that defense, and because that's a very high-powered offense versus a very good defense. But also at the same time, Union's got a good off. They can move the ball too. So Tazewell might struggle to, slow them down. There's a lot of interesting things about that game. I lean toward Union, but I can see Tazewell.
I have this weird feeling. I don't know if it's something in the air. I have this weird feeling that Tazewell might. I want to say it's an upset because I think everybody's
for upset for sure.
Yeah. I think Tazewell might pull it out. I just have this weird thing. I don't know what it is. This weird feeling that I think Tazewell might pull this one out.
I think they'll have to do some things better than they did against Ridgeview. Ridgeview got pressure. They were able to negate that with like screens and stuff like that, but Union is not. They're a different level of prepared.
Yeah, their secondary
they're going to be a much tougher challenge. But anytime you have athletes like that with a quarterback like that, you have a good you always have give yourself a good chance. But I think the Tazewell's O line can hold up. I think it could be a shootout, but
Yep.
we'll see how it goes. But we probably spent way too much time talking about high school, but I'm just very intrigued by all these games. Yeah, there's so many good matchups that really, like you said, they're different styles or just big time players, stuff like that. It's yeah. And again, I'm not really rooting. I don't want to say I'm rooting for one team or another, but the 1A, any of those games or outcomes will be a good matchup. But I really want to watch Graham and Union go at it.
Well, and I can really see. I mean, I do think Georgia Wythe is one of the better teams in 1A, and so I can see them getting towards the end. But I can see whoever comes out of this region making a good run at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, especially with Honaker, we talked about that already this year. I mean, when they're at their best and they're able to put up points, it's hard for anybody to stop them. We have seen. So we've seen some kinks in their armor a little bit, in certain games, but you need that. You need some games like that where you struggle because you're gonna have to work through it.
Yeah.
And so at some point, those obstacles are going to add up to not necessarily add up, but their experiences or learning experiences. At some point, they're going to pay off. And
you know how in Friday Night Lights, the movie, not the series, but the movie, it's it talks about all roads lead to Dallas Carter.
Yeah,
you don't have that all roads lead to Riverheads anymore.
No,
so it's kind of wide open, and there's not like a juggernaut waiting. And so like any of those, like if Honaker ends up winning the region, or if it's Patrick Henry, or if any of them, Rye Cove. I mean, it doesn't matter. At that point, if you win the region, you have just as good a chance of nowadays, this year especially, of going and beating a team that you're not, maybe you shouldn't beat, or being a favorite and a team beating you. At that point, it's just kind of a playoff, any kind of playoff, basketball, football. At that point, the best team doesn't always win. It's just one of those things. That day you might not play good that day. You just never know. So at that point, everybody has a chance.
Yeah, and I was trying to find while we were talking here the updated bracket for 2A on in the other regions. I was curious to see if if I'm sure Radford and Riverheads did win, but I was curious to see how that played out.
What a game we might have to go watch would be that if Radford and Riverheads play each other in that region. That might be something we might have to get out of town for and go watch.
Well, they're two separate regions.
Oh,
but,
are
they? They could play still towards the end. I mean, we talked about
what is Riverheads? Were they Region B?
That's what I was trying to find. I had a post that I had of the bracket, but all the stuff that I save on here, it'd take forever to go through it all.
Well, Radford's Region C, right? I'm assuming.
Oh, actually, here it is. Yeah. Riverheads was a 2 seed in Region B, and Woodstock is the 1 seed in that division. And then you had Radford. Yeah, they were the 1 seed over there, Region C.
Who's 2 seed in Region C?
Gretna. Yeah. So, I mean, good teams out there. We talked about quarterback from Radford last week. He's an Elon commit. Landon Clark, I think was the name. We had to go look it up, but I had saw some of his highlights and stuff on X, and he's great. So that whole playoff picture in 2A, it's very interesting. I think it's once you get out. I mean, I think the region itself, and we talked about the games already, they're pretty fascinating. But I think it really continues. It amps up a lot as you keep going through that 2A playoff bracket. So I guess go ahead.
We need to find out, which I guess, we'll talk about all that later. What the locations of all of the region finals, where they're at, if the number 1 seed, if it's like top seed host, or if it's neutral sites at colleges, and I'll figure all that out. But we can do that later on. We got plenty of time. We can move on tonight.
Yeah. So I guess you want to go ahead and jump into a quick run through of our college pick'em.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go through this. We already did 5 games again. We're trying to pack in this pretty quick. We're going to talk about it a little bit, but I know Mar, he's got work, I believe, tomorrow, and we're up pretty late tonight. So we'll start off 18th ranked Utah at 21 ranked Arizona. It's Saturday at 2:30 on the Pac-12 network. Utah, man, they've been a team this year that I think that it seems like they're always in it, but not having Rising, and I can't go a week without mentioning him because I feel like every week, which I guess that's a testament to how good they've been because they've been in their games almost every week. You're not having him. Barnes, I mean, he's a heck of a quarterback, pig farmer. We're going to mention that too every time. But he isn't what Rising is. And that tight end they had too, he was a star. So their defense is still pretty good. They're 15th in the country in yards per game allowed. But they got a tough test this week going to Arizona. Their quarterback, Noah Fifta, I think is how you say his name, Fifta, or I don't know, something like that. I saw a thing the other day that had him in the top 10, 15 as far as Heisman contenders. And I know he ain't up here at the top, but top 10, 15 is still pretty good. I think they're a team that they've played above their expectations all year. Playing at home, too, I think that definitely benefits them. That game against Colorado last week was a lot closer than I thought it would be. But I think I'm still going to give it to them playing at home right now. That quarterback, he's just they're a top 25 passing team in the country, and I think he's going to have a big game this week.
I'm going Utah all day.
All day, the Utes.
I didn't know how good they could. I mean, they almost beat Washington without that quarterback, so
yeah,
that's all I needed to see to know that I think Arizona's a little overrated. So I'm gonna go with Utah.
Well, in case anybody didn't know, our records right now, I'm 50-22. J Morris 48-24. Last week we picked all the same games, so I can already see a trend starting now.
Well,
we'll try to get some
I
different ones.
was planning on trying to get different ones. I was picking Utah regardless. I was hoping he would go Arizona.
I
That
know.
one,
yeah.
That one actually one that worked out pretty good. I didn't have to take a risk because I was going to go, so it worked out good. I may throw another. Hopefully, I don't have to do it. Hopefully, it works out again where I don't have to just pick one because. But
yeah. Well, the next one is second-ranked Georgia at 13th-ranked Tennessee. Saturday at 3:30 on CBS.
Where's this game at?
I think it's at Neyland this Saturday.
Okay.
Yep. I think Tyler's Talking Sports, other podcasts in this area, I think they're going to go there and try to cover that game live. Well, I mean, they're going to be in the parking lot and get all the pregame stuff. I don't know how much they can do while they're in the stadium. I know it's hard, at least for me, it's hard for me to get out anything when I'm in the middle of the stadium service-wise, but they're going to do some cool pregame stuff there, so shout out to them. If you haven't watched their podcast, listen to it and keep up with that this weekend. But Tennessee, man, they did not play very well last week against Missouri, which, I mean, Missouri's a heck of a team, I think. I think they're having a good year. This game would have really been a huge game. I mean, it's still a big game, but it would have been even bigger if they hadn't dropped that one against Missouri.
Outcome wouldn't have been any different.
Now, I mean, as far as the outcome, maybe not, but yeah.
It would have been a more hyped up game. Where's game day at this week?
Is at JMU this week. Yeah, so they might have been at Neyland.
I'll say, would it have been at Neyland if...
I think it would have been, because they would have beat Missouri, a ranked team. They would have been in the top 10, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and given it being at Neyland, which is a pretty good environment. But yeah, I'm going with Georgia. I think they just got Brock Bowers back. Brock Bowers, not Purdy, by the way, just to correct my mistake from a few weeks ago that I was completely oblivious to. But they're playing great right now. Carson Beck's playing. I think Carson Beck should be up there towards the front runners for a Heisman. First few weeks wasn't quite there, but after they had some confidence in him and got the game plan kind of working in his favor, and they got more aggressive, He's been putting up huge numbers. So I have them winning, and I don't think it's really all that close.
I don't either. I think this probably should be a close game. Like look at the rankings or whatever, and just a rival standpoint. And that in Tennessee, as bad much as I hate them, it's tough place to play. But I don't see it. I really don't see it being close. Maybe that's just like an instant reaction from the Missouri game, but I don't. Yeah, I can see it. I could actually see it getting bad, but that's why you play the games, I guess. But go Dogs.
Yeah. Our next one, which I think is a very intriguing matchup, is 24th ranked North Carolina at Clemson. Dabo, I feel like it was just yesterday they were 4-4, and we were wondering, could there be a chance they might not make a bowl game? And the kid on the radio show called out Dabo. Dabo gave his rant, and the rest is history.
I think Dabo finally got some pent up aggression off his chest. He if nothing else, he feels better after getting all that out. So,
but I mean, now back-to-back weeks they win. They're 6-4, and they're they're a touchdown favorite in this game going into it, which kind of surprised me. But they are playing home. So UNC, they're ranked 8th in the country in scoring and 8th in passing, 3rd in total yards. So they can put up points. But I think that Clemson's defense, and I talked about at the beginning of the year, I thought it could be one of the better defenses in the country. And started off not that way, but I think they're finally getting there now. They're ranked 6th in the country on total defense, or yards per game allowed, rather. But I have Clemson winning this one at home. I think they're getting hot at the right time. Maybe they can send a thank you letter to that kid on the radio show, because I'm not sure that's what they rallied around, but it seems due to a weird coincidence that they have just turned it on after that. So, yeah, give me Clemson. Give me Coach Dabo.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's such a weird game because I feel like, like I want to pick Carolina for some reason, but they're trending in the wrong direction. Even though they're coming off a win, they had 2 terrible losses back-to-back weeks against Virginia and who was it, Pitt maybe, or Georgia Tech.
Georgia
and
Tech.
then went to overtime or whatever it was, maybe triple overtime or something crazy with Duke.
Double overtime, I think.
Double overtime
and storm the field, I think.
Yeah, and did Duke is their quarterback? Is he back?
Well, I mean,
Riley, or is he?
I think he's been. I didn't watch that game, but I think that he's kind of been in and out. I know he was at Florida State. He played during it.
Well, that makes it a little better of a win. See, I thought maybe he didn't play, and I was going to say they barely beat them, and
he didn't play. No.
So see that, I mean, they barely at home. He barely pull off a win against Duke. Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like for whatever reason they're not clicking right now. And it being in Clemson, I feel like it's 2 teams headed opposite directions as far as momentum going. It's good, momentum goes. So I think I'll take Clemson too. I think it's a close game, but I think Clemson wins.
So our next one is 25th ranked Kansas State at 16th ranked Kansas. Saturday at 7 o'clock on FS1. So Kansas right now, they're the favorite, 8 points. Kansas has been playing good this year, given the fact they've had a lot of injuries. I don't know if Bean's going to play, or if even Jalen Daniels might play. He's been in and out. I'm not sure his status as far as the year goes. This year is kind of a lot like last year. Man, he was last year he was in and out a lot too, and I don't know if this is something he's going to have to deal with for good. But from what I could see, the backup Bean, which is pretty decent backup, he only threw the ball 4 times. I think he got hurt last week too. So Ballard was the one that played. So I'm not sure what the status is of Bean. I don't know his injury, but they did lose that game to Texas Tech last week. So they've got a lot of question marks with them right now. I think Kansas State, they had that game against Texas. Man, it's almost like a toss-up game. I'm gonna give it to Kansas State just because of the quarterbacks with Kansas. I mean, right now it's such a big question mark. Everybody seems to be getting hurt. I'm gonna give it to Kansas State.
Yeah, it's really early in the week for us to pick it because of that situation. You don't really know what's going to happen moving forward. I'm like you. I wish I knew more about it. You know, I want to take Kansas. I don't feel confident enough not knowing about their quarterback situation to go against you on this one because of our records on our picks. So I feel like I'm taking a chance not knowing anything about quarterbacks. I'm gonna ride with you on this one and go Kansas State just for the simple reason of I could pick Kansas and they have one of them healthy and play great and win, but they could neither one of them play for all I know. I mean, I'll go Kansas State, I guess. Where's it at?
Kansas State. It's at Kansas.
I lied. Give me Kansas. I'll go Kansas at home.
You're Kansas.
Yeah, one of them will play. They'll figure something out. They'll shoot somebody up with something.
Yeah. Get them out there.
Yeah.
So our last game on our college pick'em is 5th ranked Washington at 12th ranked Oregon State Saturday at 7:30 on ABC. And what I think is the game of the week in college football. I think Oregon State is a tough place to play. They play very well at home. And Washington's been a team that, I mean, we talked about at the beginning of the year, the Pac-12 kind of beating each other at the top, and it's hard to imagine one of them makes it to the playoffs, but they've took all the punches, man. They've responded. They're still up there. They had some adversity against Utah, but they answered it and came out the victory. So this Oregon State game, this is a big one on the road like this. So Washington's defense has not played as well as I thought it would this year. I think they still have some stars back there that's been making plays, but overall they're not. I don't think they're where a lot of people thought they would be. I'm still going to ride with Penix on this, and I'm going to go with Washington. Their pressure's on for them because them and Florida State's riding they're in a close race right now for that final spot if it all works out like that. And furthermore, I mean, them and Oregon are, I think, if they're competing. So I think pressure's on. They're going to be focused. That coach has a great record when it comes to winning against ranked teams. I can't remember for the life of me what it is. Top of my head. I remember them talking about it the other day. So I got Washington winning in a very close one.
Yeah, this game. I was trying to look at something. I mean, almost just for the sake of my top 4 I picked at the beginning of the year being closer to being right, I need Washington to lose, but like you said, they just keep responding somehow and figuring out a way to win. But I think it finally happened. I think Oregon State gets them. You said it is in Oregon State, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a little too much. Like they're not. It's not about like, heading in the right direction. They're playing bad, but they're not getting hot right now. I don't feel like, you know what I mean? Like they're in a lot of these games. I feel like the team they probably should have. Well, maybe not necessarily put away easily, but I don't know. I just don't get that vibe right now. I feel like they're surviving instead of, playing great. So I'm gonna go with Oregon State and upset.
Well, we have a few that's different this time, so
yeah, I'm probably
see how
gonna
it all plays out.
Huge hole after this week.
Yeah, so things I want to mention before we head off of this. 2 big things in college football. Coach Harbaugh is out for the year as far as coaching in the actual games. He can coach during the week for practice, but cannot coach in the games.
So this is a regular season, right?
I don't know if it goes into the playoffs or not, but
I thought it was just a regular season, but
could be. I'm not sure.
I'm not 100% on either, but I think that's what I.
Yeah,
I thought it was 3 games, which was last week, this week, and next week. But
so it seems like it's been a motivating thing for the team, though. They're rallying behind that, and when you're a team up there at the top, sometimes playing and a schedule that isn't maybe as tough as some others, you need some motivation to fight complacency, and I think they found it.
I mean,
Harbaugh's out there saying today they're America's team.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know about that,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
I mean, even his assistant was emotional in the post game interview. I mean,
Oh yeah,
in the tears and yeah, there's a lot of it's a us against the world mentality for him right now, which, like you said, might be whether you believe in it. I think his suspension is right or wrong. That's really irrelevant at this point. It's just more about them believing, them taking that and them, kind of bringing them together in a bubble almost, which is, like you said, is kind of maybe what they needed, was that kind of extra motivation. If nothing else, it solidifies them as a group. But I mean, I don't know. It's just a mess. There's a lot. That's an interesting story to follow. I'm curious to see how all that plays out. Not only the rest of the season, but future ramifications out of it, and future, backlash, or not backlash, but future domino effect. What might happen because of how this is handled.
Yeah. Well, and I think too. I don't know. It's just all unfortunate because they're a heck of a team, and you think about it. Last week, they didn't. I don't think they even threw the ball the whole second half and beat Penn State. So I feel like there's this asterisk beside of it if they make it to the end, especially when it's debatable whether or not they should be or not. It's here for a bigger discussion, but just not waste too much time.
Real quick, do you think this is one of the, people say you find somebody cheating, that's just the one you caught. That's just like a saying I've heard before, like, especially in like NASCAR. It's not so much that that guy was the guy cheating, he's the one that got caught. Do you think this is going on and stuff like this is going on other places, and they're just the ones that got caught this time, or do you think this is kind of a isolated incident?
This particular thing, I think, is going in a lot of places. I mean, I think we saw, I think the analyst, was it Reddick or whatever, say not long ago that when he was a scout and stuff, he saw this stuff going on all the time.
Yeah.
So
I feel like as fanatical and obsessed and like, as college football is, I feel like everybody's probably doing this. It's, if not something worse already, if people have, probably have hired people to sit around during the summer and think of different ways to infiltrate the stadium and get, do all this stuff. I don't see there's no way that they're the only ones that are doing this.
No,
I'd be really surprised.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Just to touch on one more thing before we get off of this, Coach Jimbo Fisher also got fired, Texas A&M. Just a quick thing, who you think's going to replace him? I have, I had said Coach Gundy would be a great one on our Boys Join the Porch podcast, but a name that was mentioned, and I think, and this is not a popular name, I don't think. I think everybody's definitely shooting for Dion, but Lance Leipold, coach for Kansas. He's a heck of a coach at, I think it was North Dakota State or one of those, maybe it's South Dakota State. But I think he's turned that program around at Kansas. I think that's not a pretty hire. It's not a very flashy one, but I think he is a great fit for Texas A&M. I think he's going to kind of, in a way, kind of keep the eyes off of him. He's not going to cause too much of a ruckus, but he's going to get to work. I think Lance Leipold is a heck of a hire for them if they can get him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what their deal is going to be if they'll want to go after somebody that's kind of like a lesser known name and not a big name because of the money they're having to pay Jimbo to leave. I mean, they're paying him like $76 million to get out of town. So I don't know I know they've got basically unlimited money, resources, but do you really want to pay a big name to come in on top of paying somebody that's not even there? I can see them doing something like that. I'll say a smaller name, sign them to maybe a shorter deal. But at the same time, they're not one of those schools that they're not hiring somebody as a placeholder. They're going to want to hire who's going to win them a championship. So it'd be very interesting. I could see them going after like somebody like you said, like somebody like that, or even smaller, maybe like a smaller school, or maybe like somebody is Tulane the one that's started off season ranked.
Been pretty good, yeah.
Somebody like him, or
Coach O's out there still
Coach O's out there. That's going to be a big number to get him.
Yeah.
That's not going to be cheap. I mean, obviously they probably love to have Dion. I don't know that Dion up and leaves after one season.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this: his biggest commit that he's got going forward right now, I think he's a 5-star receiver. Maybe wrong on that, but he's a 5-star. He decommitted today because he said that he's not sure that Dion will be there when he gets there.
Oh, really?
So
I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure Dion's leaving there yet. I don't know.
I don't think he is either.
Yeah, I think if he wanted to, I don't know. I think he could have went somewhere else for a lot more money already if he, if that was the only thing he was interested in. But, I don't know. I could see him. I could see him going after a big name, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of big names out there really that's available that I know of, other than maybe like you said, like a Coach O or.
You're going to pull him from somewhere.
Somebody like that, but maybe somebody in the NFL, one of them coordinators, somebody like that. You never know. So it'd be interesting to follow and keep up with, find out what happens.
Yeah. Before we get out of here,
sorry, did you see somebody saying did that guy really say that about Johnny Manziel?
I'm not sure if that's a joke or not, but
I mean, I hope he's joking.
I don't know. I mean, maybe you could have him run there as like gosh, I don't know if I'd even want him to be as a recruiter. But yeah, there's no way that I would. I
can see them bringing him in the program to be like a something,
Yeah, I mean, you could help with something. Have to
you wouldn't, keep it. Obviously, I wouldn't give him like. I wouldn't let him be over I wouldn't let him be over like the enforcing the like the rules and their conduct or something. But they need to have him there as part of that program. But the whole coaching thing. I'm assuming that guy was joking.
Weird. Yeah, it has to be a joke. Before we get out of here, we'll throw out our top 5 new country songs. Do you got a throwback for this week? Okay, we'll get to it too. So right now, our top 5 new country songs of the week. Number 5 is "In a Song" by Peyton Aldridge. Number 4 is "Grow Apart" by Emma Wyatt. Number 3 is "John Deere Green," which is a remake of the classic song. It's Joe Diffie, Morgan Wallen, and Hardy. Number 2 is "Trust" by Chris Stapleton. My number 1 song on our top 5 new country songs for Porch Talk is "Growing Up Raising You" by Gabby Barrett. So just to breeze through this a little bit, talk about it. I'll just jump right there at 3 and work my way down. John Deere Green, everybody knows that song. Hardy's throwing out another Hicks tape. If you haven't listened to the other 2 Hicks tapes, they're pretty good. So they're using Joe's voice, R.I.P. to Joe. They're using his voice in that from the song, and Hardy and Morgan's in there with them. And I love the way it sounds. I think it's really good. They actually put 2 songs out from that. I can't remember what the other one was, but "Trust" for Chris Stapleton. I think it's a vintage Chris Stapleton, kind of that feel-good song. I like it a lot. Just kind of talk about trust between you and your spouse, your lover, whatever, And then number 1, Gabby Barrett's "Growing Up Raising You" kind of talks about having a child and then growing up, raising that child. In this particular case, it's talking about her and her daughter. But I think even with me, it applies. I think about it a lot. The things she mentions in it, and I let Chelsea listen to it earlier, and she was already crying listening to it going home. So that's a heck of a song. So that's my top 5. What's your throwback?
Well, I kind of messed up because I was thinking for some reason that Tennessee and Georgia played in Georgia, and it was going to be The Devil Went Down to Georgia, Charlie Daniels.
Yeah.
And, I was basically because Tennessee's the devil, but they're in Knoxville, but I'm still sticking with the song because I love
it's still
it.
a good one.
Yeah, so I've heard a bunch of different versions of it. And they're all good, but Charlie Daniels, man, it's
It's a classic.
he had I don't know what that was. Had a little bit of a speech earlier in the week. It got me. That's what got me going with this one too. I sent that in the group, I think, but I can't remember what page it was on Instagram, but him basically telling. Pretty sure it's his message to terrorists around the world. What would happen if?
I don't know if I caught
can't
that
remember.
one.
I'll try to find it and send it to you. But
Yeah.
you gotta love it. So that's my throwback. I think it was 1979. I seen that when that come out, maybe.
And I think that especially with like your first song that you had, with Johnny Cash, the boy named Sue, I think is what it was. Those kind of songs where they kind of talk and tell a story. Charlie Daniels has a lot of those too.
Yeah, I didn't get to come on that week when
no,
Boy Named Sue,
the first one.
Yeah, I was going to tell a story about the reason I picked that and the story behind it. Me and my sister, my papa would take us to school every day when we were little. In the mornings, my mom and dad would drop us off here, and then we'd sleep until time to go to school. And he would take us, and he had a single cab Toyota Tacoma he bought, and didn't have the middle seat part. I don't think. I think it was just a console thing in the middle, and Katie sit on it or on my lap most of the time, somehow or another. That's how small we were. Like I think I was in like the 4th grade, probably something like that, 4th, 5th grade. But he had a Johnny Cash tape in it. I think it was Folsom, Live from Folsom Prison. I think is the one it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
The one he recorded there, but and that song come on the first time we'd heard it, and we loved it. And we'd make him rewind it every morning when we left. And he got to the point where he'd drop us off, he'd rewind it back and leave it there for the next day. But me and my sister, man, I loved that. We ended up listening to that whole cassette. But that some reason that song always stuck out to both of us. There's
such a great story, funny story.
Yeah, but my sister, being that age, loved the part about talking about the be like a crocodile, and he talking about come up and cut off a piece of my ear. That always cracked her up. And so it brought back a lot of good memory. I just want to throw it out there. I don't know if a lot of people. Everybody's heard Johnny Cash, obviously, but I didn't know if a lot of people were familiar enough with that song or not. So I wanted to make sure the world knew about it. Our little world here on Porch Talk knew about it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think. I did a little bit of a write up on it, put it out there. I think it was one of his top songs he ever put out.
Really?
It's kind of crazy to think that. Yeah, I mean,
you don't hear about it a lot, like as far as no. Because like on the movie they did about a Walk the Line, it wasn't. You never heard it.
Nah, it wasn't on there. That would have been a good one to have on.
Yeah, it's not like one of those. I didn't think it was one of those. Like big hit, like culture wise. I didn't think it was one of those well known. I thought maybe, what do they call them? A deep track or whatever. Song. Yeah. I thought maybe it was one of those that it was just on that
kind of underground thing that nobody.
Yeah, that was a big recording he had. Just the fact that it was live in Folsom Prison. But I didn't think that song was that big. That surprised me.
Can you imagine being like? I'm sure that was a crazy environment. Him playing that.
I bet it's one of the best crowds they ever played in front of.
Oh, I guarantee it.
I mean, so. Yeah. But anyway, I really wish that Tennessee was playing at Georgia. That's what.
Well, I still think it's a good song.
Yeah, so I like it.
Georgia is a classic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Well, I do want to say this. I forgot to mention this, but we'll just very quickly touch on because I think we're both ready to go. UFC 295. I ain't gonna talk about them that much. I'll just give the last three. Well, all 5 fights ended in a TKO knockout. Jessica Andrade ended up knocking out one of our favorite fighters, Mackenzie Dern. Tom Aspinall got a knockout. He is now the interim heavyweight champ. Alex Pereira ended up moving up, knocking out Jiri Prochazka. He is now the light heavyweight champ. So
yeah, I really thought that the Pereira and the Yuri fight, I thought that would be. I knew there was a good chance somebody get knocked out, but I thought it'd be like almost be like a just beat the crap out of each other fight. Like neither one of them go down, but you can't take many of those. I mean, Yuri's got a good chin, I'm sure, but you can't take many shots from Pereira there. That's living dangerous. So
yeah, it's very impressive what he's been able to do coming in to just now coming into the UFC. Rogan has proclaimed him as one of the best, if not the best, kickboxer in the world.
Yeah,
and coming into the UFC and doing what he's done in such a short time is remarkable. And he wants to fight Izzy again, but Dana isn't going to do that. But see Pereira and Hill fight, it's going to be good.
The only way Izzy needs to fight is make him come down. There's no way Izzy should go up to him.
Yeah, well, Izzy just got destroyed by Strickland too.
Right. I mean, but even if they did do a rematch for money, I mean, just for whatever.
Yeah.
If I was Adesanya, I would not go up. Yeah. He's not gaining a lot of weight anyway. No. There's nothing to gain from going up, and you're not going to beat him at that without making him cut all that. That's the only real advantage he has is making him cut all that weight. So
yeah. Well, and Aspinall, he's kind of stuck in limbo too because the next two top fighters, John Jones and Stipe, and they're going to do that fight, that legacy fight.
Mm-hmm.
And so Aspinall, he had a heck of a performance. First British-born champ. His father coached him, quit his job as a contractor. I put that in our group and started coaching him in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at a very early age. To see the picture of his father there, kind of holding back tears, that was pretty cool. Aspinall won with a knockout, just a hair over a minute. A very dangerous fighter that he fought against. So now, I mean, the only guy I think that could even be up there with Aspinall is Almeida, that just beat Derek Lewis. But
he's that was a boring fight. I know it's part of it, and but hopefully somebody has some takedown defense because I just don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, Aspinall is good in every area. I think that of course, Derek Lewis's one big weakness is the wrestling part. So he exploited
if he took him down and beat him, it would have been fine.
I heard it was a snooze fest.
He took him down and laid on him. I mean, he just, which is again, you can't stand with him. Yeah. And I guess once he got him down, Derek Lewis had improved his ground game enough to where it wasn't easy for him. And Lewis is so big and strong that he couldn't really do a whole lot. But he wasn't even trying to do a lot, I guess. But like I said, he doesn't have to. He's winning the fight. But as far as spectator goes, it was very, very boring. It's one of the most boring fights I'd watched, other than a couple.
The Gagne and Lewis.
Yeah, that was the worst one in the Rose fight. That was both fighters refusing to try to do anything. Derek Lewis wanted to fight. He couldn't from his back. You know what I mean? Like he wanted.
Yeah.
So that was what was frustrating about it, is knowing that Derek Lewis was trying to do everything he could to get back up and to make it a fight, but he just couldn't do it once he got him down. So
yeah. Well, I ain't gonna really harp on anything too much more because we gotta get off here. But I do want to say thank you again to Goodspeed for coming on. He did a remarkable job. Big fans of him on this podcast. Big fans of Coach Padgett. Looking forward to a great game Saturday between them and Coach Tiller and Honaker. Two great styles going head to head. And then all the other matchups as well. I want to say thank you to everybody that has watched this to the end. I want to say thank you to all the followers we gained. This last week was huge for us. We gained, I think, 200 or 300 just in this last week after Parker Bandy's interview, and we pushed some things out there on Facebook. So just help us continue to grow. We're going to keep trying to do this player interviews. I don't know who we're going to have next. We're trying to look and see and try to reach out to some people.
Yeah, they're also real quick. I hate to interrupt you, but before I forget to say it, for anybody like you said, anybody that has listened this far, I know Cam's talked about before. We're not just football. We're going to get into, and I can't wait to start talking about college basketball. We just didn't really have time to fit it in, but some big games already that and stuff. So we're going to try to start hitting on it, but it's just with playoffs and football going on right now, it's hard to get away from that. And we haven't really talked about NFL much at all either yet. They're getting, so we're going to have to, we'll sprinkle some in, but definitely try to start talking about some college basketball, maybe make some predictions since it's already started before it gets too far in the season. But like Cam said, we appreciate it.
Yeah, I was going to say, like you said, I have thought about that actually, like some of the college basketball stuff. It's just right now we're running so long trying to fit it in as it is what we got. But football ends here. We're going to have basketball and even high school basketball. If we're still able to make Hoople, actually, I'd like to go up there and maybe we can interview some coaches and stuff there. We'll see how that works out. But a lot of exciting things going forward. We got a big special guest coming on next week. I talked to him. I haven't talked to you about that yet, but next week I'll talk to you about it afterwards.
You talked to him. You sent me a message.
But as far as like a specific day.
Oh, okay.
So and then I also talked to another guy. I ain't gonna give any spoilers or anything like that, but I'll just say he's a musician. I talked to him earlier, and so he's good to come on too after we get done with the football season. Maybe we'll start getting some musicians on at some point too. We got a little bit more time to work with stuff, I think, when we get into basketball season. There's more games and spread out a little more. Football is definitely a week-to-week thing, so we're trying to, especially right now in the heat of the playoffs, we're trying to get these in. I wish, and you had mentioned doing them, but I don't know that. I think the way things happened was how they were supposed to happen. But it would have been good to have them from week one in high school, player interviews all the way through. But I think the way things worked out, I think that the progress we had made allowed us to do this at this time. So again, thank you for everybody for the support. Go out there, subscribe on YouTube, share our clips, share the posts and stuff we make. We're trying to keep this thing growing for you guys and for the kids we got coming on and for the guests that we have. So as far as for me, thank you. And I know that I'm sure I'm speaking for Jamar as well. We appreciate more than you know. So Jamar, you got anything before we head out?
Nope. Y'all have a good one. If you see us out and about at the
I was
football game, holler at us. Give us a holler.
Yeah, if we're at we'll put out there where we're going to be at. But if we end up being at Honecker and Patrick Henry, definitely holler at us. If you go out Friday night, we're going to try to get some shirts and stuff here soon. We're working on maybe some hats and try to help us be a little more distinguishable out there. But anyway, thank you guys, and God bless.